Welcome back to the Exempt List. Today we're talking about all things free agency and draft related. A little mailbag episode with my buddy Nate Tice of Yahoo Sports and the Athletic Football Show. And we'll be right back with all the things you crave about free agency in this time of the NFL offseason. Welcome to the Exempt List, part of the Zero Blitz podcast family. I am Charles McDonald, your host. And today I am joined by my friend Nate Tice, host of the Athletic Football Show, contributor here at Yahoo Sports. Nate, it's March 19th. There's a long way to go to the draft. I just want to ask you, how are you doing, pal?
I'm doing okay. Yeah. I'm doing okay. The draft chugs along. And I was this show 3 we've done? There's the Lost Show count as an episode?
I forget. We did this.
Does it count on my contract? I actually mean to ask some people about that.
Hey.
Did that one count? Is that like taking a walk? Like it's not a play, it's not a at bat, it doesn't even count, or is it a plate appearance?
Actually, you get another one added on the back end that you have to do now.
Yeah. That's it. It's the bonus episode. No, I'm doing well. The draft season chugs along. I've now done this in several different capacities, and it's the same nadir of stuff happening always. Doesn't matter what you're doing at the end of March until the end of April. Even though stuff's happening, it's not happening. It's theory season right now, as I'm noticing on Twitter.
Yeah. So I've seen people like on Twitter in the past few days. They're breaking down Caleb Williams tape, and I have like 2 reactions to that. Like, one, man, like just now getting the Caleb Williams tape. Okay, but also, man, there's 6 weeks left into the draft. I kind of wish I was just starting and just not getting to Caleb Williams tape, just to pass the time. Because, I know you're digging the draft stuff. I've been working on All Juice team. I'm like in the gutters of some of this college football tape that I really don't enjoy watching. Some of the players you're at the point where a lot of the players are real hit or miss on if they're actually like contributors or not. So yeah, I bet watching Caleb Williams tape right about now is a lot more fun than what some of us are doing.
I am getting into like day 3 guards, and I'm not trying to just be like, oh, I'm a film nerd or anything like that. I'm just like, this is kind of my process. I get pretty deep with the offensive guys, and then defensive guys I focus mostly on like day 1, day 2 guys. And this year I'm getting a little deeper into the weeds, but I forgot it's like once you get to day 3 offensive linemen, oh my God. It's like, it's just some bad ball, some bad offenses. And then once in a while you get excited. You see something where you're like, oh, okay, there's something. Okay, that will make your day. But when you watch like 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in a row and none of them juice you up, there's nothing worse. There's truly nothing worse than that. I actually last week, because I was on the offensive guard. I'm trying to fill out the big board, the more guards. So I'm watching Kansas offense, which was fun. Dominic Pooney, watching all this. And then I watched, Boston College offense. And I was like, okay, this kind of put me in a sour mood. And then to give yourself some mouthwash, Sam Darnold signs with the Vikings. So I watched Sam Darnold week 18 against the Rams.
That's your mouthwash.
To kind of cheer myself up. That was my mouthwash, just to watch some Sam Darnold film. Just because you never know what you're going to get with Sam Darnold. So, but I just had to watch NFL ball. Like I had to watch true NFL guys and NFL level. It's like, oh, okay, there we go. Get jolted back. There's not a ref standing 5 yards by the linebackers. He's actually in the back, behind the quarterback. It actually works. So sorry, that's my little mini rant about just like mouthwash. Week 18 Sam Darnold tape is mouthwash. So when you start watching some bad college offenses.
No, it's true though, because I don't want to name names because I know there's the NIL stuff has gotten these kids money, but at the end of the day, to me, they're still mostly kids. But man, I'll be watching, like you said, like some day 3 offensive lineman or some day 3, running back, and you watch these quarterbacks. And I'm like, man, you need to go to class, okay? Like, what is this? Like, I like college football as a spectacle. I still enjoy the sport, but I understand some of our friends who are like, just make this minor league football. Let's cut out the fat. Send the rest of the kids to class, and let's have it be an NFL feeder league. Like when
one
you watch
friend in particular,
one friend in particular,
who you used to have a show with, I think is who I'm thinking of right when you said that.
Yeah, but then you watch like Phil Jerkovich throw a pass, and you're like, okay, I kind of get where you're coming from,
Dude, it's yeah. I didn't even get into quarterback play, line play and quarterback play, which are the hardest positions to fill at the NFL. Oh, you watch some Mac. line play, and they're all playing in these kind of gimmicky offenses. There's some great stuff. Don't get me wrong. I just mentioned Kansas. Kansas' offense was awesome. There's some offenses out there that are a lot of fun. Oregon State's a lot of fun to watch. So you watch that, but then you watch like a Mac, Art Briles type offense.
Or a Florida game. Oh, my God.
Oh, yes. Dude, it's just like they're running two routes. The protections are terrible. Like that's when it's just bad. But no, you're right though. It's like there is some. I love the spectacle of college football. I don't want to crap on college football because there's some awesome stuff too. Watching the college football playoff games, you can see the energy is just palpable off the all 22. But man, there's some bad ball out there. I'm with it when people are like, man, there's a lack of development. It's like, no, there's just some gimmicky offenses. So it just looks a lot worse when you have some quarterbacks, like you said, that are just skipping rocks out there. I didn't mean to come into this all cranky about quarterback play, but I just also just, no, you just got me going on it.
That's what people want anyways. There's only one position in football, as most people are aware of these days. And the NFL has been centered on that one position in football over the past few days, particularly the Pittsburgh Steelers. As you know, the Steelers, they started off their quarterback renaissance by signing Russell Wilson after he was released by the Broncos for a 1-year, $1.2 million contract, which I have thoughts on. And then they double back by trading away Kenny Pickett to the Philadelphia Eagles, and then they traded for Justin Fields for a 2025 conditional 6th-round pick that can go up to a 4th with playing time triggers in 2025. Okay, I think the first question that we have in the mailbag is kind of something that I have been pondering over the past few days. What's the over-under for weeks until Fields take over for Russ? Because I kind of think that Russell Wilson may have put himself into a bit of a corner here by trolling the Broncos so hard financially. Because, dude, it's not just quarterback.
Trolling them so hard.
He trolled them so hard that he has put his career on like life alert, I think. Because any single player, any starter that is making $1.2 million is not guaranteed to make it through the season. Like, no, there's no financial tie. It's literally as low as it gets. Like the Steelers, lower
than Baker got last year. Baker got 4.
Right.
4. So,
like, dude, you're at like Brock Purdy money, dog.
Yeah.
So, I kind of think Russ has put himself in a situation where he has made the Steelers' financial obligation to him so low that he's like a week-to-week starter for them. I don't care if they say Justin's going to come in and be the backup and Russ is our guy. You pay him $1 million. If things go bad, you can pull him any week and it doesn't matter whatsoever. So we'll see what happens with that. But just as the question, over under how many weeks until Fields take over for Russ, what would you say?
4. So 4.5. I'll put the number at. And I'd say under that. I think but somewhere in October. It would help if I could see their schedule, but that's not out yet. I could see their bye week because that always is the switcheroo or the Thursday night game. And then after that, the little mini bye. I'm with you though. And also just Russ and Fields have like a lot of play style comparisons. Like they are very similar in a lot of ways. Fields just being kind of like a bigger version. So it's also that. It's like, I think Russ is like the fail safe for the Steelers. It's just it's competency in case they need to play that card. But if they need it, they have like the easy spark to trigger if they need it. Like that's the thing. It's like it's the easiest spark that you can just go, we'll go to Fields, the younger guy. Won't have to do much play style differences because they are so similar.
So when I read this question, the first thing that came to mind, like, what if I put the over under at like 0.5, basically saying Justin Fields exits training camp as the Steelers starter.
As the starter.
I don't think that's impossible here. I really don't.
It's a non-zero chance. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. No, that's very fair. I think that's more fair right now than I think people are going to realize until, like you said, until August starts. But
this ain't Russell Wilson from like 2015, dog.
No, that's what people got to realize. He's fallen, like he really has. He's fallen off a cliff. He's conservative now. Like on third down, he checks everything down. He throws everything underneath. It's all bombs, easy bombs. Dialed up design bombs, which he still can do. or it's easy checkdowns. Like that's kind of his game now, but it's not a needle mover game anymore. And really it's borderline, not even average. It's not really what you're looking for as far as like, oh, this guy's going to win us some games.
Yeah. Cause I feel a little hypocritical sometimes when I think about the Russell Wilson and what happened last year, because on one hand, I really do think if you were actually watching these games, like Sean Payton's desire to move on from Russell Wilson is not unfounded in any way. But at the same time, the way he handled it was pretty heinous.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Very unprofessional. I would say unprofessional.
Very unprofessional. Yes.
Yeah. But not a lot of guys would be able to get away with that.
Right. I mean,
barely any.
but like he wanted to get rid of Russell Wilson to the point where he is willing to sacrifice basically 2 seasons and possibly his career to not have Russell Wilson be the quarterback of the Denver Broncos. So it's not like Justin Fields is in this situation where he can't win this quarterback situation, right?
Fields' stock has actually gone up, and Russell's has never been lower. Like Fields though is like, this is one of the highest his stock has been. Maybe after when he came back from injury, like in November, late November, early December, he had a nice little stretch of games. And so that's the thing. It's like Fields is on upwards trajectory. It's maybe not as high as that maybe a lot of us thought, but still on an upwards trajectory at his youth. And Russell's the opposite. His trajectory has never been lower, and he's older. It's like, I don't know. I know which one that you usually go with if you're trying to find talent and trying to find like an actual difference maker at the position. You usually go with the younger guy. I think it just you kind of see it in the cards a little bit.
Yeah. I think another funny part of this, which leads us to our next question from Austin Rieger, is before Arthur Smith got fired from the Falcons, like towards the end of the season, when it wasn't quite sure if he was going to get fired, it was very obvious that the Panthers were going to be bad enough to lock in the Bears' number 1 overall pick. There was a lot of, well, could the Falcons trade for Justin Fields? Because maybe that makes sense with Arthur Smith's offense. And now, in a roundabout way, we have arrived at Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator of the Steelers, coaching Justin Fields, who is now the quarterback of the Steelers. And this question comes from Austin Rieger. How is an Art Smith offense that targets the middle of the field going to work with Russ and Fields, 2 of the most avoidant middle of the field quarterbacks that exist? Great question.
Great question, because I don't know, and I've been really thinking about it, because I didn't like the Russell Wilson signing there because of that with Arthur Smith. It was because of what he prefers. No one throws over the middle between the numbers, like the intermediate areas, which is lower than Russell. And I think Fields is bottom 3 as well. I think it's like Fields, Hurts, and Russ. And then I think Carson Wentz was always low too. But those were always the usual culprits down there. And shoot, Arthur Smith, that's what he pounds away at. Think of every A.J. Brown Tennessee Titans highlight. I mean, even look at Drake London's heat chart from the last 2 years. It's a lot of stuff over the middle. So I don't know. I think Arthur Smith is a good coach. I know that's a controversial take to have.
I still do too, honestly.
I know. And it's just so funny. It's like, yeah, you would just think I just said the most outlandish thing when I say that. So I do think he'll adapt. I don't think he's an idiot and it's going to go, well, I'm going to make you do this. But I think there's going to be a lot of QB run game if Fields in there, which actually I'm very interested in. I think the run game stuff's going to be the coolest stuff. That's another thing is Russ doesn't run the ball as much anymore. And so that's why I want Fields to see in that. So as far as throwing, though, you're going to see a lot of play action with either of these guys because that's what they're best at. A lot of downfield, a lot of overs and posts kind of combinations. A lot of these guys on the move. But I think there's just going to be some adjustment where it's not those digs and glance routes we usually see in a Smith offense. But there's going to be stuff that does translate at least a little bit. No quick game, though. I can tell you that. There will be no quick game. Neither of these guys can throw a quick game, and Arthur Smith doesn't like quick games. So I can tell you there will be no quick game in Pittsburgh, which is a huge difference from Matt Canada the last couple of years.
This actually brings me to something this reminds me of something that I wanted to bring onto the show. This is from an anonymous friend of the show, asking the question, is Dan Le Batard correct that Justin Fields is the best running quarterback in the NFL?
He's on the podium.
For sure. I think
it's Lamar, Josh Allen, and Fields. I'm trying to think who else.
Yeah.
Hurts fell off last year.
I agree. Hurts is not in this conversation.
No, Hurts isn't in there anymore.
But dude,
I'm trying to think who else.
As far as just pure running, I might take Fields over Allen because it feels less chaotic. I'm less scared when Fields takes off.
Josh Allen's just chaos. Yeah, exactly.
I've seen Josh Allen pitch to a fullback in a playoff game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fields as a true runner. Shoot, some of the angles that Fields erases are you're the one that said it. It's been burning my brain. It's like Vic.
Yeah.
He's a bigger Vic. Which is it's not crazy to say. He moves like that. So
I didn't realize how fast he was until he got to the NFL. Because he didn't run, and then when he started, I think it was his second year when he really started pulling away. This is like 4.3s, easy 4.3 speed.
Yeah, easy at 2.28.
Yeah,
I can't believe you played baseball too. It's like,
dude, I think he played shortstop.
Baseball. I mean, I've heard because like A-Rod, A-Rod was pretty a sick quarterback too when he was in high school too. Like he was like the best, number one pick, obviously coming out of high school. Alex Rodriguez, anyone that doesn't know, is there a different A-Rod now? Can I still use A-Rod? Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know, but we might be old enough to the point where we might have to clarify that.
Right. That's why I did that. I've realized that as I keep getting older. But Alex Rodriguez, he was a pretty sick quarterback too. But he was 6'3", 215, and he can move. So it's like, is the Justin Fields comparison Alex Rodriguez? That's what I found as all these years later. I'm trying to think who other quarterbacks though. I think that's it. Unless you count like Taysom Hill.
No.
Like
not on this
Mahomes
podcast.
is a sick scrambler, but he's not like the runner like these guys are.
No. Mahomes is interesting because I don't know. Sometimes like when he actually takes off, I would get scared. Like I would be scared if I was a defense. I don't know. Because it's always so calculated, Except, maybe there's a couple times where he does some wild behind the line, but when he passes the line of scrimmage, he usually knows that he's going to get at least like 15, 20 yards in those situations.
This is a point I want to listen to. Think of the last time you've seen Mahomes get rocked. Like absolutely rocked. Never, right? Never. He gets pulled down, like a guy dragging him down and like that. But at one where he's running the ball and some guy just clocks him from the side, or he's in the pocket, he just gets hit straight on, dead on. He's incredible. Like he doesn't take shots like that. So I don't know, but like you said, like when he runs the ball, anytime he has the ball, it's just like, oh God, this is no. Like that's how it's gonna be. Something bad's gonna happen to us. Yeah. It's like he slid. Okay. We're okay. That's a good question though.
That's a good question. Yeah. The last of the NFL news: the Jets have signed Tyron Smith to secure their offensive line, and I don't really know how I feel about the offensive line moves they've made, but Tyron Smith at left tackle, it could work. It could be a disaster at this point.
It's another injured guy.
Yeah.
To go they're doing at least they're doing something.
Yeah.
At least they're getting some warm bodies.
John Simpson, Morgan Moses, something. Yeah.
That's something. Simpson's not bad. He's got some attitude to him. It's good. And I think if they draft another one, they can. I'm scared.
Petered out there a little bit. They can,
I'm scared is that they're signing all these linemen, and then now going, well, now we don't need one in the draft.
Yes,
even though they're set up perfectly to take one. So that's what I'm starting to get a little scared of because I don't know. You never know with Joe Douglas.
Yeah,
make Joey D is going to do something.
Keep it moving.
Yeah, I know. They're set up to take a lineman, so I don't know. But I don't know. I think they're going to, the siren song, maybe Aaron's going to tell him, the other A-Rod is going to tell him, hey, I really like this Brian Thomas.
Quick take on the Derrick Henry sign to the Ravens before we move on. You got anything besides it's really cool? I think it's cool.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's an easy fit. Gus Edwards is the little tractor. So now they just signed the little tractor. And they're good. They got Derrick Henry. They're good. So I think it's great. I think it's a good fit. I think Henry's going to age pretty well, considering his size and speed combo. So no, I really like that. I think that's a perfect fit for what they need, and the role is easy to translate because just look at what they used Gus Edwards for. Okay, that's what they're going to use Derrick Henry on.
Yeah, easy enough.
Easy.
Okay, I think we can move on to, I guess, how free agency and the draft are intertwining a little bit. You have released a top 50 big board on Yahoo Sports recently this week. Well, first of all, before we get into some of the questions that people had about it, still Drake May over Caleb Williams, even though it's I think it's pretty clear that Caleb Williams is going to be the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, but
this is still a take you feel comfortable with. You're not afraid of the Twitter hordes that are going to kill you for this.
Because I keep not hedging, just emphasizing that they're both sick. They both rock. Drake May and Caleb Williams are both awesome prospects. So I just want to emphasize that. So 1A, 1B, I just prefer May. But I think they both are since I've officially started studying guys, like officially doing this process, watch a whole bunch of games, look at data, all that stuff. So 2014 draft class. They're 2 of the top 5 guys I've ever watched. And I'd even say 2 of the top 3 up there with Trevor Lawrence. But at least at the very least, I think these 2 are 2 blue chip quarterback prospects. I'm pretty stoked to see them in the NFL.
Yeah, it was funny. The Caleb stuff for me is because I remember watching him during the season. I was like, man, this guy, he's got some flaws, man. I don't know. There's a lot of sacks. There's a lot of bad stuff. But then when you can kind of actually slow down and zoom out and watch it, I'm like, okay, wow, he's that guy.
He's exceptional. Yeah, that's same thing I went to. I was really high on him during the season. I didn't get hot takey on it, but I was just kind of like, he's not really doing it. That's why you have to watch game after game after game at all 22, and it lets you just see how things unfold. And it was like all of his negatives were a lot more explainable. Not trying to explain them away, but a lot more explainable, like why he was, getting sacked or why he was going into creation mode. It's like, because he had to. It's because he was getting no help from his coaches or teammates. So yeah, no, he's a stud. He's good.
But it does lead us to a question on some of the guys that, are not in the, let's call it Caleb, Drake, JJ, Jaden Daniels top 15 range. This is from Joey Hickman. As quarterback landing spots seemingly are dwindling, what do you think happens to the Penix, Nix, and Rattlers in this draft? Where do you see them getting drafted and by who? And I guess by who's different. That's difficult. So let's just talk about
possible
landing spots that could work for them.
Yeah.
I would suggest you get in a time machine and go get drafted by the 2015 Arizona Cardinals where Bruce Arians is the head coach.
Oh, yeah.
He can sit behind Carson Palmer and learn how to play trebuchet quarterback for a few years.
I love that. That is a great call. Even just go a couple years back and maybe I could replace, be under Byron Leftwich in Tampa. Hey, can you teach me some stuff, Tom? Penix was like just starting college when he actually was already in college when Brady was with the Bucs.
So he was definitely still in college for that.
Oh yeah.
He was like a junior at Indiana.
I think I first watched him. I think I first studied Penix in 2021. I think is when I first watched him, maybe 2022.
He was like a junior or sophomore at Indiana at that point.
Yeah. He's been on my radar for a long time. I actually, of that next group, so we're saying Rattler, Nix, Penix.
Yeah.
He's my 3 of those 3.
Penix is he's the third.
He would be overall quarterback 7 for me.
Okay.
I believe 1, 2. And it's splitting hairs really, but I view him more as like a 3rd rounder because of the medical stuff. I think he doesn't create, which is a prerequisite at the NFL level. Like CJ Stroud isn't a quote unquote creator as far as these other guys that we talked about earlier, Josh Allen and all that, but that's because he is a machine from the pocket, but he still can run. Like he's still a good athlete that can scramble a little bit. Penix can't, and he has medicals and he's older. I think some of his accuracy stuff, when he pushes the ball is all over the place. He got bailed out by some of his receivers. They're awesome. And I don't think he's very good throwing over the middle. I don't think he anticipates very well. So he's a guy, it's the opposite. It's like, as I watch him more, I get you cool on him more and more and more because you're left wanting a lot more. So yeah, of those kind of 3 guys, he's my 3rd one.
I think I would probably take Penix over Nix just because, I don't know. I feel like it's splitting hairs and things I don't want. Really?
That's what it is. They're neither of them. How they play is not what I like. So it's hard for when people ask me, who do you prefer over? I'm like, yeah, whatever. 3rd rounders. I don't know. Rattler, though, having said all that, Rattler does things I do like, even if he's far from a perfect prospect. Not a great athlete, not overly big. Dude can spin it. Dude can do some things with the football that these other 2 can't. And he throws it like a legit dude. It's just that he has a lot of blemishes. Of course, the character stuff he's had before. But I have him. He was just outside my top 50. Like I had him in the 50s. I was like in my next 10. So I have kind of that same thing, late second, early third round grade on him. But again, it's not a guy that he has too many blemishes that I could see going to first round. Like I see none of these guys sneaking into the first round. I think it would just be the other four.
Rattler is like, every once in a while you will see some from Rattler where it's like, okay, I see why you were the number one overall recruit. And I see why when you were at Oklahoma before the Caleb Williams situation happened and you kind of tanked, you were viewed as the future number one overall pick in the draft. And I think that some of that talent is still there. But, you talk about some of the off the field stuff. To me, honestly, maybe that I've just become too athlete pilled at quarterback, but the combine is really concerning to me. What are you doing
like
out here?
4.96?
Yeah, what are you doing?
At running near pounds?
Dude, that's offensive lineman speed nowadays. Okay,
that's what I ran. I ran a 4.98. So you don't want to be in my range.
Yeah, like he's in the bottom. He's in like the bottom 30 percentiles for 40-yard dash, 3-cone, broad jump. And I understand he plays quarterback.
Yeah.
But still, I feel like the athleticism has become part of the game to the point that worries me a little bit. And also, quite honestly, I don't think he's that slow. Like 5-second 40 slow. I don't know.
No, I would have guessed. I would have guessed like a high 4.7. Like a high 4.7, but he's only 205 pounds or whatever he is. So that's not a great combo, but it wasn't like a 4.96.
Right. But that makes me think.
Yeah, standout slow.
That makes me think, what have you been doing the past couple months?
What's your training?
Yeah, what you been up to, pal?
Maybe.
And I think a lot of people would have the questions for Spencer Rattler in general. What you been up to the past few years, buddy, when you're not playing football? Yeah. What you've got going on over
What's
there?
Going on? Apparently he did well with the interview stuff, but that's again, I go back. I haven't sat down with Spencer Rattler. I've never talked to the guy, but that's another thing too, is that these guys get trained on that and they get, coached up on how to answer stuff that makes it sound good with their backgrounds. Not saying that he did, but they're going to get some of that in their ear. So again, I also think teams have gotten better at kind of poking through that. So again, I kind of like don't want to weigh it too much, but it's like how much of that is legitimate. If it is, that's great. And that'll do a lot for him because I know this for a fact. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, sources say teams love him. Like there are several teams that really like Spencer Rattler. They really do. I'm not saying first round or anything like that, but I'm saying teams really dig how he throws the ball. Because like you said, it pops. You see that old pedigree pop up. So I think he's going to be like a sneaky pick, especially if the character stuff kind of sneaky pick he goes higher than I think people are assuming, because I think he checks some of the boxes character wise. And again, this might be self-fulfilling prophecy for some teams. Oh, he's gotten better, right? And they interview him and he's like, oh yeah, he's great. They just see what they want to see. So you never know that as well.
Let's see. As far as like landing spots for,
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I still feel good about with that. I've realized that.
Spencer Rattler.
Like Rams?
Yeah, I was about to say Spencer Rattler to the Rams, I think could be interesting. But
I could dig that. Yeah.
But do we want Stetson Bennett and Spencer Rattler in the same quarterback room?
In the same room? The SEC's bad boys.
They might They might not make it to the games on Sundays, man. I don't know.
And they're in LA.
Right. Some young rich 20-year-olds in LA.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
that's a great point. I know it's the oldest two young quarterbacks too, because wasn't Bennett like 25, and then Rattler I think is older too. It's the oldest quarterback room for young guys, and they have maturity concerns. It's like the opposite of what you expect. It's not some redshirt sophomore getting into the league and getting paid.
This is not really related to Spencer Rattler or Bennett, but I just remember. Well, I guess it kind of is Bennett, but last year, right before the draft cycle, like right after Georgia won the national title game, Stetson Bennett got in trouble for basically getting wasted and going ding dong ditching. After maybe a week or two after Georgia beat TCU in the national championship.
This one does.
Right. And I was like, bro, you're like 24, 25. Ain't you a little too old for this? And I got people saying, no, that's actually what people that age do. It's like, really? Is it? I I don't think so.
When you're 16.
Yeah. Yeah, I was 16. I smoked a bowl and I drank a beer and I went ding dong dishing with my friends. Like,
because none of us had our license yet or something like that. Like, like that's what we were doing in our neighborhood. I know that's
not, but 25.
A
25-year-old that's got some money is ding dong ditching.
Well, what was I doing? I was 25. I was scouting. I was 25.
Yeah, I was just working for the most part.
Yeah. I might have been on the same drinking path, but I wasn't ding dong ditching.
No, that's a fact.
But I maybe had the same pace of play as Stetson Bennett, but I did not have the same activities after I drank.
That's a fact on that, Jack. The drinking part.
That was after the first time we hung out. First time we hung out at the combine, you gave me the head nod on that. You're right. Yeah, you got a good pace, Nate Tice. You got a good pace. Oh yeah, you are half Irish.
Yeah. Back to the draft. Cardinals at number 4. Yeah. I wouldn't say they're the start of the draft because I think that New England's going to kick things off with what they decide to do with the trade or not.
Yeah.
But after they lose Hollywood Brown, are the Cardinals kind of locked into taking a wide receiver at 4? Like, even if Marvin goes 3, are you taking Odunes at 4 or Neighbors at 4, something like that?
Ooh, I think if Marvin Harrison's there, take him. Don't overthink it. Just get a blue chip guy and then move on with your life. And it's like, yeah, you want draft capital and all those fun things. And maybe if you can split hairs and move back a couple spots and make sure you get him because quarterbacks, yada, yada, yada. So I think if Harrison's there, just take him. But if he's not there, and I know there's a whole lot of hubbub going on about Neighbors being as close to Harrison as he is, which I think Neighbors and Odunze are awesome, legit top 10 talents. I think they're a half tier below Harrison. Right. So to me, I think if you can stay in the top 10 but move back, I think that's ideal. I think that's the best of both worlds for where the Cardinals at, because they need so many players. They need blue chip players, but they also need depth. So if they can thread that needle of getting a receiver and moving down, that's, I think, perfect. But also, you don't want to overthink it if Harrison's there. just take him.
Yeah, that's what I would do. But like, if they decide not to go wide receiver, I don't think taking like a tackle is that crazy for them either.
No,
because
especially just because what the tackles are.
And Humphreys is gone.
Yep. Yeah, they signed Jonah Williams, but it was kind of like a placeholder, like a 1-year, 2-year deal.
Yeah, that ain't something from doing anything.
I said this on the show with Robert. It's like that. Jonah Williams should not preclude you from Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu or JC Latham. Like, Jonah Williams is a stopgap, so just because he can start doesn't mean I should not take one of these other stars, like legit star level prospects, to and just figure out my best 5 the rookie year, and then from now on, then you have 2 legit possible tackles with Paris Johnson Jr.
It just made me think, like, I just Googled DJ Humphreys' name again. I'm like, man, that guy had the best career ever. Made a ton of money. You ask people, hey, you ask like your casual NFL fan, or maybe even like someone a little bit more hardcore, is DJ Humphreys a good football player? I don't know.
No one have any idea.
I don't know. Yeah.
And he got paid twice. He was a 3rd contract guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Him and Leonard Williams. I say this all the time. What's your favorite Leonard Williams play? And all he does is just get traded for high picks and get paid a lot of money. And everyone's like, yeah, he's a good player. I agree. I do think Leonard Williams is a good player, but couldn't tell you my favorite Leonard Williams play because maybe it's just the teams he's been on.
I covered Leonard on 2 different New York teams.
2 different teams.
I don't know. It's a great guy, though. Great guy. Don't know anything about him.
Say that again. And he went to USC. 2 different New York teams. Say that again. The biggest market possible. And I can tell you about like a Leonard Williams highlight that I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one I'm going to remember. Aaron Donald, 40 of them. I got 40 plays that come to my mind. 40 plays off the field that come to my mind. It's just, sorry, Leonard Williams. I don't mean to throw shade. He's a good player.
Great player. Well, good player.
Good player.
Good player. I think the last thing here, as far as like free agency in the draft and some of the effects of it, the guards got paid this offseason. I think Robert Hunt's a nice player. I didn't know Robert Hunt was a $20 million per year offensive guard. I didn't know that was on the table. I got to be honest with you. Which is interesting because you, me, everyone who has paid attention to this draft class is saying, wow, like this is a really good year for offensive linemen. It's a good year for tackles. I think it's a good year for guys who could play tackle and then kick into guard. I guess, why do we think that guards got paid so much? Looking at you, Carolina. Robert Hunt, 5 years, $100 million. Damian Lewis, 4 years, $67 million. I don't know. That seems like a lot of money for those guys. And I understand the cap's gone up significantly, but still.
Yeah. I think it's a few things. It's one is teams are going never again when their offensive lines fall apart and they have nobody that can play. And they're like, we just got paid for competency, just because we need a standard of a starting level, not good starter, not quality starter, just starting level, replacement level. But we got to overpay for that because the agents go, you need this, don't you? Hey, this guy's about to get $8 million. That's the standard going rate. I also think, look what's happened with defensive tackles. They've boomed as well. Somebody has to block those guys. So now there's got to be an investment at the position. Offensive line, I think as a whole, is just going to keep getting invested in because there's only so many guys that can play it. And another thing is on pass rushing downs, who gets moved inside now? Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, all these guys are inside on every passing down because team defenses and defense coordinators are so smart now, and they just go, all right, the left guard's the punk. All right, we're going after him. It's the onside kick scene in Waterboy, and he's looking across and he goes, oh yeah, there's my that's what defensive coaches do. And so now they're going like, whoa, this right guard stinks. We're going to attack him over and over and over. This center stinks. We're going to attack him over and over and over. So as opposed to teams going like, we'll find some fourth rounder. It's going like, well, we'll find a fourth rounder, but we also have a starter too until that guy figures it out, yada, yada, yada. I think it's just the math has changed in teams' head that going like, well, we have to pay this a little bit just so we're competent. I think the same thing's happening at linebacker too, where teams are overpay for just a starter, not good, just replacement level starter, because they're like, well, we can't have the alternative, which is have nobody out there. Just like what happened with the Eagles or other teams.
Hey, and if you look at the draft, it's nobody's out there. I don't know why. I don't know. Like, I honestly think that this would be a kind of fascinating podcast or maybe research. What the hell happened to these linebackers in college football, man? Because we haven't had a prospect since Roquan, man.
No. Guys have gone in the first, but they were all reaches. It was just tools. Like an actual linebacker that knew what he was doing. No, there hasn't been anyone like that. It's just that all these guys, even the ones that are on top of this draft, it's like it's 230 pounders or they're 248 and they're slow and they can't cover anybody. It's like, so it's an unbelievable epidemic going on right now at college and the NFL. So it's fascinating because it's only going to get worse because we just see these crops of what the linebacker talent is coming in. It's not like it's going to get better in the near term.
Look at how they massacred my boy. We used to be a proper country filled with ravenous front seven players, and now we don't have that anymore.
I need a neck roll.
Yeah.
I need the Brian Cox, the board up to here. Yeah. I need it past the head. We got none of that. It's like how my chair looks right now, where you can see that. That's what I need that.
I need my linebackers. I just need to look at them and say, yep, you're going to be struggling when you're 45 for sure. That's good stuff.
That's what we want.
When you come back for Legends Day, it's not going to be good. That's the kind of linebackers that I need,
The one that like they turn, their whole body has to turn. Like, it's like they can't turn that neck at all.
Fused together.
I know. I want them to like. This sounds so bad, but it's like it's like the old NBA players and the ones that had to wear Converses, and you just see them all walk, and they're all just like.
Oh,
it's like
dude!
They none of them walk normal because all their ankles are just shot and feet are just broken.
So I remember when I first covered the Jets, and this is the last thing before we get to an ad break. When I first covered the Jets, they're the team that had a Legends Day where, guys who were big for them in the 70s and 80s and 90s came back and, got praised during the halftime of some terrible game where they were probably getting booed at. But, I was just thinking like, man, like there are guys here that are younger than my dad's like in his 50s. Like there are guys here younger than my dad, and they are in rough shape, So yeah. it does kind of make you think about where the game has gone from like back then.
Well, and I've talked to my dad about it. He's, he played for so long. He played on AstroTurf and everything, and he had a few concussions and everything. And, one, he's lucky and we have good genes and the stuff that he didn't have any serious injuries, didn't have any knees or ankles or anything like that or anything, he had shoulder surgery and all that. But he mentioned too, he's like, the guys got better at taking care of their bodies after games. A lot of guys don't just go out and get hammered drunk after every game now, and just don't. That's what you did. They weren't smoking cigarettes on planes, that was what you were doing in the 80s and on the AstroTurf and 2 days in camp and all the stuff that adds up. And so I think some of the stuff, the recoverability is like, okay, hopefully these guys being guys our age now are aging better because of that. Because yeah, I agree with you, because my dad will do some of these charity stuff, and then you see some guys around his age that look great. Steve Jordan, Cameron's dad, he looks amazing. He looks like he can still play. And then you see guys that are, like you said, 10 years younger than my dad. It's like, oof. But then it's like, oh yeah, well, that guy used to drink a case of beer after every game. It's like, oh, okay. Maybe that wasn't the best thing to do potentially for your body.
No, probably not. Yeah. You kind of got to stop that. I feel like once you turn 21, it's like, okay.
It's like we said. Yeah. It's the pace of play.
All right. We'll be back with mailbag questions after a quick word from our sponsors. Mailbag. We got a lot of them. Ready to dive right into them? All right. First one from our friend Ben Solak at Benjamin Solak on Twitter. Why won't Nate go to Brooklyn and watch? Yeah. Who the hell is that? Why won't Nate go to Brooklyn and watch Wisconsin with you? Well, first of all, let me say I live in Brooklyn, and I don't even know if I'm going to go and watch Wisconsin. I live 3 stops from Barclays, and I don't know if I'm going to be there.
How long is that commute? Is that for 3 stops, door to door?
Door to door, if
you're walking out to the sub, take the sub.
So if I walk out my apartment to walk into Barclays Center, I would say no more than 18 minutes.
Oh, okay. So it's like going to Strip for me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
if I catch the subway at the right time, it can take about 10. That's not bad at all,
especially in New York. Yeah, I know. But as soon as and to answer your question, not gonna lie, did look at a flight. I did look at a flight.
There we go.
And then I got reminded that we have plans on Saturday where we're driving to San Diego, and I forgot that I said yes to that during March Madness weekend. So that was something I had to learn. But thank you for doing that. Then I actually earned kudos going, we have something Saturday, don't we? But also it's a 9:40 local tip. 9:40 local tip? I couldn't do that. And knowing pace of play, I'm like, so I'm going to have to start at 6? Yeah, I'm not doing that. If I'm getting into Brooklyn, we're starting at noon.
I don't know
if I can last till 10 to start.
Well, sometimes I like to do the 2-parter where I'll take a nap in the middle of the day and then come back out if I feel like it. Except the hard part is once I get back inside, I don't want to come back outside most of the time.
Don't want to go back out. That's why I can't nap, because then I'm just,
then I'm done.
But blanket up to here. Yeah, I turn into a 16-year-old girl. I just want to cozy up with my ice cream.
Next question from Vice_the_legend. What's the worst take that you have heard or read this offseason? I would say just about every take that involves Jaden Daniels being a better prospect than Drake May and a comparable prospect to Caleb Williams. I think that's just so utterly ridiculous. Because I know
it's subjective, and I know this is all subjective. But I agree with you. It's just it's just one of these
objectively crazy. Objectively crazy, because I feel like people get caught up in. And I was kind of like this way during the season. Holy crap! Jaden Daniels, 350 rushing yards or 350 passing yards, 200 rushing yards. He was breaking barriers every game to close the season. But you watch this is basketball, bro. He's playing a different sport. Football on grass, basketball on grass. And then when it gets into muddy pockets and stuff that you see in the NFL, I don't think he's all that strong at it. But I could be wrong.
The asks are so different of him and what the other guys have to do. That's another thing too. This is the whole Purdy discussion too. I'm not saying Jaden Daniels is Purdy or anything like that, but it's just the asks of what they have to do in their offenses, comparing them to Caleb Williams or Drake May, wildly different. And then that's how they have to attack and everything. Those ones have been very frustrating for me because I try to be respectful for all those things, but I'm also just I don't see it. I'm sorry. There's a lot of blemishes here. Also, he's super outliers as far as pressure to sack stuff. How many times he scrambled? No one has scrambled more on record. When I wrote about this, I looked it up. No one has scrambled more than Jay and Daniels. And college FBS quarterback, no one scrambled more than Jay and Daniels. And why that's a problem is that doesn't translate. You can say, oh, Lamar scrambles and Josh Allen scrambles. Yeah, it's like 4 or 5 times a game, not a dozen, not 15 times. So if that's part of you could say, yeah, we're going to tone it down at the next level. He knows that. He's smart. He started a lot of games and he's only scrambled more. And that's when he jumped up competition from the Pac-12 to the SEC. Now he's jumping up competition more. You kind of are what you are. It's like you have a makeup. You can adjust some things as a quarterback, but it's also like you kind of play how you play. Russell Wilson has played like Russell Wilson since I played with him in college. Like he's played the exact same way. Some things get better. So that's the thing. It's like I'm watching Jay and Daniels. I'm like, ooh, that's the stuff that we've all just nailed Justin Fields about negatively the last couple of years. And he's the exact same way, but 30 pounds smaller and with less of an arm. That's a little scary for me. That's how that translates.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I want to hear the ones you are, because you kind of have a good view on these. So I want to hear some of your bad takes.
The one take that I've had that's bothered me a lot, not that I've had, but I've seen, is people trashing like the Joe Mixon trade. I'm like, dude, we've gone too far.
Yeah,
on
that's weird too.
The anti-RB stuff has gone too far. If we're saying that it's a mistake for the Texans to trade a conditional 7th round pick and give Joe Mixon like a fake money $9 million per year contract that he's never going to see all of it. I don't know. The cap went up this year in a way that, like, you're still complaining about running backs getting a piece of the pie, a small piece of the pie. Stop.
Less than 1% of the pie.
Yes,
is that's what the complaining about an extra million for some of this or anything like that. I know I'm just saying in the context of the salary cap, not in real life.
Yeah, in real life, extra million.
Yeah, also, yeah, hell yeah, that's a huge difference. Are you kidding me? No, but what the Mixon one's ridiculous because he's still a good player, still played well. It's like, is he the elite guy? Nobody's good and he can catch the ball. He's good in that type of offense. And it's like, oh, you pay him this much or whatever, $6 million probably without incentives. That's less than a starting guard. So you're saying a starting running back that's going to touch the ball 20 times potentially a game is going to play 50 snaps, 40 something snaps is worse than an average starting guard? That doesn't make sense. I don't care if that, like, the running, it makes no sense. Just even the math of things. I think smart teams are realizing that there is it's the money ball thing. People think it's just on base percentage. It's about finding inefficiencies in the market. Well, if everyone wants to be super smarty pants and say, don't pay any running backs, I can find these good starters on cheap deals and I can pay them and for cheap picks. I'd much rather have Joe Mixon on that than maybe this 4th round running back might work out. Maybe he won't. And then I'm giving him touches and he sucks. Like that's the counterpoint for all this. So I like that one a lot. That's a good one. I didn't even expect to go on that rant about that one. That one sets me off too. The Mixon one. Yeah, that one sets me off too.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Next question from Outside Zone Pod. Will Atlanta finally run 4 verts with Kirk in town?
That's the question.
I want to cuss at you, bro. I don't.
Will they?
I hope so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Next question.
It's not part of that offense.
Yeah, it's not. Next question from @DadBodBaller. Aside from quarterback, which is the most difficult position to evaluate from a scouting perspective?
Corner.
I'll also say corner or safety, maybe.
Yeah. Safety matters so much about scheme that they get put in. So that's so hard. Corner, I think corner is so hard. Some guys I think are easy evals. You get like the Derrick Stingleys of the world and the Sauce Gardners and the Jalen Ramseys. But then once you don't get that, you get into the good tier. Oh my God. Yeah. Good luck. I think. Anyways.
Yeah. I think the only like semi off the beaten path cornerback prospect that I would say like I was proud of the eval I had on them was like AJ Terrell, because I was like, dude, his combine kind of sucked, but I don't know. I watch him move out there, and he just moves a little different than. And I think with cornerbacks, it's kind of what you're looking for, right? Like
it is too, yeah.
Someone who can just kind of flip their hips and turn and keep up in spaces or bite down on short areas.
Okay, yeah, he has good eyes and everything. I would say. And 2, his receiver can be pretty hard, but I actually think it's gotten easier in a way because we have a little bit more data. And I actually just think, I think it's kind of like what offenses are doing now. We've kind of realized what offenses are gimmicky, college wise.
Yeah.
There's no Corey Coleman's. going on as much. But receiver can be pretty hard too.
Even with, I think the receiver is an interesting answer there because a lot of stuff with like when Jerry Jeudy was traded to the Browns, there were a lot of, whoa, my God, like this is still one of the elite route runners.
Star.
Like, bro, you guys are showing the Alabama clips where he's got a 10-yard cushion on an RPO. I don't know. And this is the quick feet. Quick feet does not mean good route running. And I'll say this a million times. Does it help? Yeah. But the thing with Jerry Jeudy, and this is why I never, ever have considered him a good route runner, I would say he's average, is that he's short on his routes. Being a good route runner is getting your depth. And it's hard to get your depth. And I mean, if the route breaks at 6 yards, you break it at 6 yards. You get all of 6 yards, not 4 yards. And so that's why Jeudy always frustrated me when people are like, oh, he's the footwork king and he's amazing at routes. It's like, no, he's not. No, he's not. His details are bad detail guy. I can tell you that. But that's a great point with the Jeudy one, because that was his MO coming into the league. And then it's like, once he gets in the league and everyone's like, well, isn't this what he is? Line him up one-on-one. It's like, yeah, in the league, he's a slot vertical guy. Like Jerry Judy's more like Christian Kirk than like any, than whatever people thought he was going to be, Antonio Brown or whatever he was getting comped to. Yeah. Next question from our pal at Seahawks Nerd 75, and I feel like we should answer this together. When will Nate turn himself in for his Ritter takes?
Never. They were never wrong. It's a good process.
It's fine. No one ever thought he was a first round pick, man.
No one thought he was a first round pick, and no one thought he was going to be like a Pro Bowler right away. This was so frustrating about it all.
Yeah, it was weird how like there was like some weird proxy war about Desmond Ritter. And I will say there are 3 people who should feel salty about how last year went with Desmond Ritter: Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake London. That's it.
Yeah.
Because they're actually playing. The rest of us, I don't know. You took a flyer.
He's a third rounder.
Yeah, he was a third round pick. You took a flyer on him and didn't work, and you move on. To me, the Desmond Ritter stuff is about forces that extend beyond me, because I don't understand how people became so attached to some of this stuff. Like even like I'm a fan of the team, and I thought Ritter was going to work out better than it did last year. But by the end of the season, I didn't care that he sucked. It cost nothing.
This is what, even because the blowback I've gotten, everyone's like, well, that was your number one guy in that draft over Matt Corral and Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell. Yeah, it was. Malik Willis. Yeah, I'll say that again. It still was. No one was a Brock Purdy guy, so no one could claim that. Nobody. I know I had one guy on Twitter say that he was, and it was like, okay, one person of thousands.
Not real.
Okay.
Not real.
Yeah. So it wasn't real.
But there were people who's had Malik Willis as like a top 10 prospect.
A top people
Pepperidge Farm remembers that. Okay.
Yes, they do. Or saying Matt Corral's got it in the middle of his first year after he got hurt already. I remember Kenny Pickett. There's some huge Kenny Pickett takes out there. And then when I called him Tyler Heineke, people said I was mean and not giving him a chance. Look at him now, backup. But no, with the Ritter stuff too. And even going into this year, I was optimistic about the Falcons offense. It was that I kept saying, I was like, he just has to be the 18th best quarterback, 16th maybe. What I was saying was just he has to be I keep using this term, starter level, replacement level. I thought that was reasonable, especially with what they ask of him that offense. And I still think it is. And even if you look at underlying stats, he's still in the average tier. Like he has better stats than Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, who we just wasted a whole bunch of time. Stats meaning like success rate, EPA per play, and all that type of stuff. These guys that were like, oh, this guy should start. This guy, he deserves another chance here. Ritter had better stats than them. It's because a lot of people, and I get it, they're not watching a lot of 1:00 Falcons games because they had no national primetime games. And so everyone's watching Red Zone channel. And what do you have? He had a lot of brutal turnovers that Scott Hansen's going to make fun. The turnovers are awful. And stupid ones. Ones where that's what was so frustrating about him. And this is why I thought it was unfair. That's the stuff you work out, and you give him more starts to let him work out those stupid decisions and go, oh, I can't get away with that, or I shouldn't be pushing the ball there, because all the good stuff, the down stuff in between the 20s was pretty good. So that's why I got frustrated with it. And that's why I always felt like I was defending him, even though I wasn't like, I didn't even have this high of a take on him. No. And now I'm like, I'm just saying that this guy could be a possible starter. But now he's back up in Arizona, but they like him. So who knows? So no apology.
No apology.
Just, a big shrug.
Yeah, and Nick, when Sam Howell is starting over Geno Smith, you'll be regretting this question. Okay?
I just want to ask everyone, why is Sam Howell getting like, oh, he could beat out Geno Smith takes when he was worse than Desmond Ridder last year? Why does he get to be forgiven?
You're asking that question about 19 days too late, my friend. 19 days too late.
I like your proxy war term.
Well,
that's exactly what it is.
Okay, here's a quick question from JV Overstreet, KC, Missouri. Broncos fan here, staring down tank season with Jared Stidham. If McCarthy, Penix, and Nix were frozen in ice and put in next year's draft class as is, where would they place? I would say 2, 3, and 4, which is a terrible thing to say about the 2025 quarterback class.
Who's won? Is it Shadur?
I put Beck at 1.
Oh, Beck? Yeah, Beck. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know you were a Shadur guy. I was like, oh, no.
Shadur guy.
Yeah.
I've stood next to him. I can't be a Shadur guy.
He's slow, too. Someone said he runs like Eli Manning, and now I can't get that out of my head. Yeah, they would be probably 2, 3, 4 or 3, 4, 5. I mean, it's like
Quinn
Carson
Ewers,
Beck.
Jackson
No,
Dart.
I'm off yours forever.
So am I.
I watch so much Texas film now, and I'm like, yeah, no, you don't got it. I like Riley Leonard, who transferred from Duke to Notre Dame. We'll see with Van Dyke, who transferred from Miami to Wisconsin. So now I actually have personal allegiances to that. So we'll see how that goes. I might hate him more. That's really it, though. That comes to mind.
And then you're hoping I'm still hoping that Jalen Daniels can stay healthy for a full season.
Yes, he rocks.
Yeah.
Like I said, just watch some Kansas offense. He rocks, man. Yeah, hopefully he's healthy too. So yeah, that's a great call. I know guys like Alder from Penn State. I don't think he's very good. So
no. God, no. Yeah. And he's bad because if he was any good with those traits he had, he'd be undoubted. He's got damn near a Josh Allen arm. Okay. Quick, a few more questions we get out of here. All right. This one's from Yuri. This is for Nate. What is a bottom 5 board game? Something you really don't enjoy playing?
Oh, it's actually the game that got me into it. It's not a bottom 5 game. It's a bottom 5 game for me. But Monopoly is one. Monopoly is not a good game.
And it does terrible things to people. Yeah.
And that's why when I say I'm into board games, it's like people got to realize that there's a renaissance going on, or like a golden age going on with board games. So these tabletop games is that it's not Monopoly. They're so much better. They're quicker. There's a lot of games that only last like a half hour, 40, 45 minutes. There's no, hey, grandma, let's wrap this up. Like it's quicker games. And they kind of keep what all those negatives were of the games that we had as kids in mind when they designed these new games. So there's a lot of really fun games out there. But Monopoly's one. Actually, I'm not a huge fan of Catan, even though that's the game that got me into board gaming, because I've realized there's better games out there. But having said that, that game is not a bottom 5 game. It's just a bottom 5 game for me now because I have so many better alternatives. But Monopoly's got to be it. Monopoly sucks. It's hard. Hardcore sucks. Bad game. Very bad game. Yeah, there's better versions. There's of the stuff if you do like Monopoly, there's stuff of that works that is in better games now. But yeah. Thanks for letting me rant. I got a board game right here. Actually, my show.
It's an audio platform.
It's called Flip Town. It's fun. It's like a fancy Yahtzee. I think that's a good way to put it. Audio format. Holding up my game.
All right, we have 2 more questions left. The first one from Nope, Not Joe. Okay. Which bad team is going to be the most fun to watch? Who are the most fun players that are trapped on bad teams? I think for the second one, the answer instantly becomes Justin Jefferson.
Oh, yeah. If they get May, though, I'll be listening.
Okay, that's true.
But yeah. If they get May, I burned all my Vikings gear 15 years ago, but I might try and find something purple because I'll be interested. Best player on a bad team? Trevor Lawrence on the Jags.
Who isn't going to be bad?
Some of the defensive moves are a little better than what they've been doing on offense. So
I feel like they'll be back to where they were.
They're going to be 9-8 again. They're the 9-8 most 9-8 team possible. I know who's bad. Bad. There's actually some decent teams now. Giants. Who's good on the Giants? Andrew Thomas on the Giants or Dexter Lawrence?
Dexter. Yeah.
Dexter might be it. Andrew got hurt last year, so Dexter Lawrence might be a good answer. Any of the Jets defenders last year, that would be another one. Really racking my brain. Who's bad? Who's picking at the top? Who's the best player in the Panthers?
Derrick Brown. I don't know. It's
Derrick Brown. Yeah,
I just feel bad for him more than I do enjoy watching him.
Yeah, Brian Burns is gone now.
Chris Olave.
Oh, I'm sick.
I like that one.
That's a good one. They got a few, actually.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, Olave's a good one. Who's on the Titans?
Calvin, Nuke.
Oh,
Jeffrey Simmons.
Jeffrey Simmons. Yeah,
that's a good one too.
I like their corner, Roger McCreary.
Yeah,
he's pretty good. I know we're just listing bad teams and going, all right, who's good on that?
okay. But let's actually answer the first question. A bad team.
Oh yeah, which
is going to be fun to watch.
Cardinals.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
That's my easy answer for that one. They might be sneaky. They might. I feel like they're going to be a sneaky 7-8 win team next year, but I think they'll be fun to watch. Yeah, really like what they're doing. Oh yeah, I'm very optimistic on the Gannon regime just because what the coordinators are doing on both sides.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's good enough for that one. And the last question from Anastasia 026. What should the Giants do with the 6th pick? Take a quarterback, wide receiver, or trade with Minnesota? Well, I guess that depends on if Minnesota hasn't already traded up by the time they get to pick 6. Because I think obviously New England is a candidate. I think Arizona's still a candidate too to trade down.
All those
and
teams.
so are the Chargers. Yeah, 3 through 5, all candidates to trade down, I would say. But if you're there at 6, man, unless May's on the board, I would not force a quarterback pick. You already have a bad situation as it is. Just go ahead and take a receiver because the Giants' receiving room is looking pretty dismal. I remember this time last year, they were kind of talking to themselves into, hey, what if we had 40 wide receiver 3s?
What if we had 12 slot guys?
and Darius Slayton.
It would trade for Darren Waller. bring him on in there.
Look,
out.
And I would say, I still think there's room for a Darren Waller bounce back year, but anytime someone starts talking about retirement, I think it's time to move on to plan B. Because you never know if he's actually going to make it to training camp at this rate. There's still a long way to go, and he's already hinted at retiring. So take a receiver. Keep moving.
I think a receiver, yeah. I've thought about the lineman thing, and then are you bumping Neal into guard and figuring that all out? I know, and then that's
the problem with the guard there with the tackle. Yeah, I remember one of the mocks that we did. I think I had Joe Alt taking them, Joe Alt going to the Giants at 6, and then we kind of got way too far into the mock draft to actually go back and redo it. You can't go back.
And you're like, oh, I actually don't like that as much.
I was like, I don't like that as much because that means Evan Neal's playing guard, which I really don't like.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I know. It's just too big. And I don't know. He doesn't adjust well. Which is not what you want from an offensive lineman. So you're a guard and you're playing a gap shooting three tack.
Yeah.
I don't see him recovering very well right away. So I know that I'm with you on that one. Maybe his new eyesight will help.
Yeah.
No, I think it's receiver. You nailed all the trade back stuff. I think that action will happen before them. And if it is, they do get trade back action. It might be like the Bears trying to move up for a receiver or something like that. And I don't know, to me, for the Giants, who, again, they're another team, especially on offense, that needs players, needs needle movers. Yeah, you're in a good position to draft one because I think these receivers are pretty talented. So I think standing pat, taking one of them.
Okay.
Yep.
This has been a good show. Probably one of the longer ones that we've done. And it's going to be uploaded too.
Yay. Not a lost tape. I'm guaranteed to go long. No,
it's always fine.
I've never, ever been under.
I enjoy the longer podcast, to be honest with you.
This was good.
Yeah.
Mailbag questions were good. Way to go, everyone. I'm not going to turn off my replies yet.
No, made some good jokes along the way too.
This is a journey. We had some friends along the way.
Yeah.
Got to wave at some friends. Hi, Ben.
The real long podcast is the friends you make along the way. Yeah. Hi, Nick.
That's
Hi,
it.
Ben.
A reference to Justice. Yeah, we're getting them all.
Yeah.
Did we talk about Derrick at all?
No.
Derrick has linebacker takes. When we get on that linebacker epidemic pod, Derrick will be on there because he has some takes on it. It's been brewing for him for a while. So, all right. This is good.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Exempt List. Jason Fitz, C. Rob, Jory, they'll be back tomorrow with an episode of Inside Coverage. We'll be back with another episode of the Exempt List next Tuesday and every Tuesday with more draft content leading up to the 2024 NFL Draft. I'm Charles McDonald. You can find me on Twitter at 4verts. Nate is on Twitter at Nate_Tice. And our producer behind the glass, Stone, is at on Twitter at SJ Rochelle, and we will see you next week.